Once upon a time, there was a rich and powerful man named Mr. William, who had a huge house on a hill. He owned many businesses and was known as a billionaire in his town. Mr. William had a lovely wife named Claire, who was kind and always smiling. They lived happily in their big mansion with their son, Timmy. One day, Mr. William started to feel uncertain. He loved Claire very much, but he started wondering if she loved him for who he was or just for his money. He didn't want to ask her directly, because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. So, he decided to come up with a clever plan. He asked his old friend, John, to help him. John was a trustworthy man, and Mr. William knew he could count on him. Mr. William's plan was to dress up as a poor, dirty gateman and work in his own house without Claire knowing. He would see how Claire treated him and whether she would still be kind and loving, even if she thought he was just a poor worker. The next day, Mr. William changed his clothes, put on a torn hat, and covered his face with a scarf. He didn't want anyone to recognize him. He stood outside the huge gates of his house and waited for Claire to come out. When Claire stepped outside to go to the market, she looked at him, but she didn't seem to notice anything strange. She walked right past him without saying a word. Mr. William's heart sank. He was hoping for at least a small hello. But Claire didn't seem to care about the gateman at all. Days went by, and Mr. William continued his secret plan. He walked outside every morning, doing all the dirty jobs, like cleaning the driveway and cutting the grass. But Claire never stopped to talk to him. She seemed so focused on her daily life that she never once showed any kindness to the gateman. Timmy, their son, also didn't notice anything different. He would play outside and run past Mr. William without saying hello. Mr. William was starting to feel sad and frustrated. He had hoped that Claire would recognize him and treat him kindly, but nothing was changing. One afternoon, as Mr. William was cleaning the car, he overheard Claire talking to her friend on the phone. "I'm so tired of this life," she said. "I wish William would spend more time with me. All he cares about is his money and his businesses. I feel so alone." Hearing this made Mr. William feel even worse. He had spent so much time trying to test Claire, but now he realized that he had neglected her. He had focused too much on his money and not enough on their relationship. The next day, Mr. William decided to take a different approach. Instead of staying outside, he went into the house and waited for Claire to return. When she walked through the door, he smiled and greeted her. "Hello, my love," he said softly. Claire looked at him in surprise. "William, what are you doing here? I thought you were at the office." Mr. William smiled. "I was, but I've been thinking a lot about us. I want to make things right." Claire blinked in confusion. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" He took a deep breath and told her everything. He explained how he had pretended to be the gateman and how he had felt hurt by her lack of attention. "I just wanted to see if you would still love me without all the money and the fancy house," he said quietly. Claire's eyes widened with shock. She had never imagined that her husband would do something so extreme. She took his hand and gently said, "I'm sorry, William. I had no idea you felt this way. I love you, not your money. But I see now that I've been distant, and I haven't been paying enough attention to you. Let's make things better together." Mr. William felt a weight lift from his chest. For the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of relief. He had learned that love wasn't about money, but about understanding and care. From that day on, they worked on their relationship together. Mr. William decided to spend more time with Claire and Timmy, focusing on what really mattered. And Claire, in turn, made an effort to show him the love and appreciation he had been longing for. They became closer than ever, and even though Mr. Williams' test had been a bit extreme, it taught them both valuable lessons about love, trust, and communication. Their life wasn't perfect, but they were happy, truly happy, because they knew that, no matter what, they would always love each other. Mr. William and Claire's relationship seemed to be on a brighter path after they reconciled. However, deep inside, Claire couldn't shake the uneasiness she felt about William's test. She wondered, why didn't he just talk to me instead of pretending to be someone else? Though she loved him, the thought kept creeping back into her mind. One day, as they were having breakfast, Claire decided to bring it up. "William," she began hesitantly, "can we talk about something?" "Of course," he replied, setting down his coffee cup. "What's on your mind?" She fidgeted with her napkin. "I've been thinking about your plan, how you disguised yourself as the gateman. I understand why you did it, but it makes me wonder if you really trust me." William looked taken aback. "Claire, it wasn't about trust. It was about understanding. I needed to be sure that our love wasn't built on my wealth." "I get that," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But love is about honesty too. I feel like you could have just asked me how I felt. Instead, you doubted me in secret." William sighed deeply. "You're right," he admitted. "I see now that it wasn't fair to you. I let my insecurities cloud my judgment." Claire smiled faintly. "We'll work through it together. But from now on, let's promise to talk about everything. No more secrets, okay?" "Okay," William said, taking her hand. Weeks went by, and their bond seemed stronger than ever. They spent more time together as a family, going on picnics, playing with Timmy, and even doing simple chores around the house. Claire started involving herself in William's businesses, offering fresh ideas and a supportive ear. But just as things were settling, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was a woman named Lisa. She claimed to be William's distant cousin, but Claire had never heard of her. Lisa was charming, with a sharp wit and an air of confidence that made people listen. She had come to town looking for work, and William offered her a temporary position in one of his companies. Claire, however, felt uneasy about Lisa from the start. Something about her seemed too smooth, too perfect. Lisa quickly became close to William, asking for his advice on every little thing. She also began dropping subtle hints about Claire, questioning her decisions in ways that seemed harmless on the surface but planted seeds of doubt. One evening, as Claire was tucking Timmy into bed, she overheard Lisa talking to William in his study. "You're such a brilliant man," Lisa said. "I just hope Claire appreciates everything you've done for her. Not everyone could handle being married to someone as successful as you." William chuckled awkwardly. "Claire's been amazing. She's supported me through everything." Lisa sighed dramatically. "You're lucky, then. Some women only care about the money, you know." Claire clenched her fist as she listened. What is she trying to do? Over the next few days, Lisa's influence grew. She started making decisions in the company without consulting Claire, and William didn't seem to notice. Claire decided it was time to confront her. "Lisa," she said one afternoon when they were alone in the garden, "I appreciate that you've been helping William, but I need to make something clear. This is my family, and I won't let anyone come between us." Lisa's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "I don't know what you're talking about, Claire. I'm just here to help." "I think you're here for more than that," Claire replied firmly. "And I won't let you manipulate my husband." Lisa laughed lightly. "Manipulate? Oh, Claire, you're imagining things. But if you're so worried, maybe you should ask William what he thinks." Claire decided she wouldn't let Lisa intimidate her. That evening, she told William everything. "I think Lisa has other intentions," she said. "She's trying to drive a wedge between us." William frowned. "Lisa? She's my cousin. Why would she do that?" "I don't know," Claire said. but I can feel it. Please, William, don't let her come between us. William promised to pay closer attention, but the seed of doubt had already been planted in his mind. He started wondering if Claire was jealous or insecure, just as Lisa had suggested. The tension in the house grew thicker with each passing day. Lisa continued her subtle manipulations, and Claire struggled to prove her sincerity. Meanwhile, William found himself torn between his loyalty to Claire and his guilt about doubting her. Would their love survive this new test? Or would Lisa's schemes unravel everything they had worked so hard to rebuild? The days grew longer, and the tension between Claire and William continued to rise. The once peaceful home now felt charged with doubt, and even Timmy noticed that his parents were distant. Claire would try to talk to William about Lisa, but he always seemed too busy or distracted. The more Claire insisted, the more William began to pull away, convinced that she was just overreacting. Lisa, on the other hand, seemed to enjoy the growing divide. One evening, Claire decided she couldn't stand it any longer. She had to make William see what was happening. She couldn't let Lisa tear their family apart. So, Claire decided to take action in a way she had never considered before. She would confront Lisa directly. That night, as the household settled into bed, Claire made her way to the guest room where Lisa was staying. She knocked softly on the door, her heart pounding in her chest. Lisa opened the door with a surprised smile. "Claire, what brings you here at this hour?" "I think we need to talk," Claire said, her voice steady but firm. "You and I both know what's going on here." Lisa raised an eyebrow, pretending to be innocent. "I don't know what you mean." "You're trying to manipulate William," Claire said, her words sharp. "And you're using me as the reason. But I won't let you tear apart my marriage. I've seen the way you've been planting seeds of doubt in his mind." Lisa's smile faded for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. "I don't know what you're talking about, Claire. I've been nothing but helpful." "Stop lying," Claire shot back. "I know what you're doing. And I won't stand for it. You need to leave. Now." Lisa's eyes flickered with anger, but she quickly masked it with a forced laugh. "You're really serious, aren't you? Fine. If that's what you want, then I'll leave. But I'll tell you this, Claire, William is a very intelligent man. You'll see how things turn out." With that, Lisa turned and slammed the door in Claire's face. Claire stood there for a moment, her heart racing. She knew she had to tell William the truth, no matter how hard it would be. She couldn't let Lisa's lies fester any longer. The next morning, Claire found William in the living room, reading the newspaper. She could tell he had been thinking about their conversation the night before, but he was still hesitant to confront Lisa. "William," Claire said softly, sitting beside him. "We need to talk about Lisa." "I know," William replied, rubbing his forehead. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said. Maybe I've been too trusting." Claire reached for his hand, her eyes filled with emotion. "I never wanted to hurt you, William. I just want to protect our family. Lisa has been trying to drive a wedge between us. She's been manipulating you." William sighed and put the newspaper down. "I didn't want to believe it, but I can't ignore it anymore. I've noticed how she's been acting around me. I was too blinded by her charm." Claire smiled gently. "I understand. But we have to face this together. It's not just about her, it's about us, our family. We have to trust each other more than ever." William nodded, finally seeing the truth. "You're right, Claire. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you from the start." Together, they decided to confront Lisa. They waited for her to arrive at the house, and when she did, they called her into the living room. "Lisa," William began, his voice steady but firm. "We need to talk." Lisa stood in front of them, trying to look calm, but there was an underlying tension in her posture. "What's this about?" "We know what you've been trying to do," Claire said, her voice unwavering. "You've been trying to manipulate me and create problems between me and William. You need to leave." Lisa's expression shifted. For a moment, she looked like she might argue, but then she seemed to deflate. "Fine," she said, her voice flat. "You've won. But just remember, William, I could have helped you in ways Claire never could." "Goodbye, Lisa," William said coldly. "I don't need your help anymore." Lisa turned on her heel and walked out of the house, leaving them in silence. As soon as the door closed behind her, Claire and William looked at each other, a mixture of relief and sadness in their eyes. The days that followed were full of healing. Claire and William worked together to rebuild the trust that had been damaged by doubt and manipulation. They spent more time with Timmy, focusing on family activities and rediscovering what made their marriage strong. They learned to communicate better, and more than anything, they realized how much they truly needed each other. As for Lisa, she never returned to their lives. Her departure marked the end of a difficult chapter, but also the beginning of a stronger, more trusting relationship between Claire and William. One afternoon, after they had spent a long day enjoying a family outing, William turned to Claire and smiled. "I think we're back on track," he said. Claire nodded, her heart full. "Yes, we are." And with that, they both knew that no matter what life threw their way, they would face it together, stronger than ever. And so, the once fractured family was whole again, their bond unshaken by the challenges they had faced. Through honesty, love, and trust, they found a new way forward, and they learned that sometimes the most important lessons come not from wealth or power, but from the people who matter most.